Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here. Welcome to the Love Pod.
Morgan, we are so happy to have you here on the Love Pod. We're really fortunate. You have such an amazing biography. I just like to just welcome all of our guests today who are here to really talk about some expansive things around mindset and coaching from an elevated level. Morgan Gutierrez, you are a dream builder coach, I understand, and a life mastery consultant. Those are some pretty impressive credentials, and you've shared stages with people all over the world, some pretty awesome figures. So I'm sure you have so many wonderful stories to share. I'd just like to invite you to welcome yourself, and pardon if you hear our little girl in the background there.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, it's great to be here and get to share and pour into your audience today. I'm Morgan Gutierrez, and most people live on autopilot, right? They kind of just live a different version of the same day over and over again. And I teach you how to live on purpose.
Hmm. That's really interesting. And I love how you summarize that so succinctly. Like it's that Groundhog Day effect, right? I call it the A to
Yeah.
B life, the 9 to 5, and people get in these routines that become ruts and people get stuck. So what do you do to help people live on purpose?
So first you have to notice it, right?
Mm,
If you don't notice that you're not happy, because look, there's some people that are like totally content living the 9 to 5 Groundhog Day on autopilot. Like they're fine doing that for
mhm,
their entire working career and like enjoying life someday when they retire.
mhm.
And those people are not the people I'm talking to,
Yeah.
right? If you're content with where you are, then that's a different conversation, right? And maybe I'll get into that. Maybe I'll compare it to
Mm,
nature. But for the people that aren't, they're feeling burnt out,
mhm,
or they just would love more or less of something in their lives, then yes, this is for you. And first you have to notice. You have to notice that you are discontented.
yeah.
You are unhappy. You are not living the best life that you could live, the best version
Mhm,
of a life that you could live.
mhm.
And that's easy to be said, right? Just
Yeah.
notice that. But it starts kind of as a whisper for a lot of people. We say things like, "Oh man, like I wish I could sleep in today," or "Man, I wish I had more time when I got home from work. I wish
Mm,
I had more energy to enjoy my family. Oh, I wish I could go to my kids' events," right? That's kind of how it starts.
yeah.
And that's actually life whispering to us to make
Mhm.
some changes. But most of us don't know how to make those changes. And so if you don't listen, though, to those little whispers, well, the universe gets a bit louder. It can
Yeah.
start to yell at you, right? So you might see it show up in other ways in your life. Maybe your marriage or your relationships
Mm,
start to go downhill a little bit. Maybe you
mhm,
lose the passion for what you're doing in your career. Maybe you start to see some type of health issue, like physically metastasize for yourself.
mm,
Maybe it's just that you feel like you don't have any energy.
mm.
And if you still aren't listening, excuse me, if you still aren't listening, then you might get hit with a 2x4 or a Mack truck. You
Yeah.
might actually end up in the hospital with a health diagnosis. You might be forced to stay home from work to recuperate. You may lose your job, right? And it's seemingly bad, right? It's something that we feel like is bad, but really what it is our higher intelligence, power, force, life force, whatever word you have for it, right? Don't let my words distract you from the meaning here. But whatever word you have for it, it's trying to get your attention to tell you that you have life you're not living, that you are made for more, you're meant for more, and you can have more. So the first step is to notice. And one of
Yeah.
the
So important. I mean, it's so simple and yeah, you've articulated it so well. It's just such an awesome conversation already. I love it, Morgan. So thank you. Keep going.
Yeah, and if it would help, I could give you a quick like four ways to notice. Would
Sure,
that
that I think that would be value to our listeners and to me as well. I mean, I think it's,
sure?
I like to simplify. A lot of people make things like more complicated. I think that's
Mhm.
a habit, and probably from our conditioned educational models and
Yeah.
stuff. Like, I like to think of meditation as simply listening. And it's just
Yes.
like the subtler you can get to listening to the smallest that voice you're talking about, and
Hmm.
maintain that clarity, the better. So yeah, I'd love to hear these four ways of noticing.
So I'll scoot this way just a little bit so you can see it on my board. Hey, look,
Okay.
my board came into play here, right? So we have these four little areas of our life. So we have our health and our well-being, like our physical health and our mental health. And this is where we start because if we don't have our health, none of the rest of it really matters, right?
Hmm.
Like if you're not alive, none of the rest of it matters.
Yeah.
So you start with your health. So notice for yourself, how healthy do you feel? How in love with yourself and your body are you? And some people might hear that and be like, well, that's a little bit vain, don't you think?
Hmm.
So I invite you to notice that, right? Like
Hmm.
that thought came from somewhere, probably conditioning for years of loving yourself is vain, right?
Yeah.
So just give yourself a scale, right? One to five. How happy and healthy do you feel? One, not at all, pretty miserable, sick all the time. Five, like extremely good health, right?
Hmm.
Best shape of my life. And you can do that for each area. So then you have your love and your relationships. And oftentimes we think of this just maybe as a significant other or our family.
Hmm.
And that is one relationship, sure, or one version of relationships, but you also have relationships with your friends, with your coworkers or employees or team, depending on, your vocational career choice. And you have relationships with your community.
Hmm.
So consider for yourself, how connected do you feel? How in love
Yeah.
do you feel? And it's when we start to think about it in this way that we can begin to notice, yeah, things aren't going so hot right now.
Mm.
Maybe I can shift a thing or two, right? And then you have, wrong way, you have your vocation. This is like, a lot of people think of it like your career.
Yeah.
I shift this a little bit. It's not just your career. We all have unique gifts and talents with the world. One of my talents is teaching. I love to teach and I'm great at it, right?
Yeah.
So, this is one way that I share my gifts and talents with the world.
Hmm. Hmm.
Your vocation is how you're sharing your gifts and talents with the world, whether you get paid for it or not. Your vocation doesn't mean that you have to do it to make money, right?
Hmm.
It's just the way you're sharing your gifts and talents with the world.
Yeah, I love that.
And then you have your time and money freedom. And I would say for this one, what you're measuring is how fulfilled do you feel?
Mm.
How fulfilled do you feel in your daily work? Right? Because we were taught, especially in American culture,
Hmm.
we were taught that you go to work and you work for your life and then you get to retire and enjoy everything you've worked for,
Yeah.
right? No, why are we waiting for Sunday when we could be enjoying today? That just
Yeah.
we don't have to live that way, right? So if you look at how fulfilled you feel and the impact that you're creating in your vocation, where do you fall,
Mm.
right? One to five. And then you have your time and your money freedom, which is really how free do you feel?
Mm.
Money really only has two purposes: for us to feel comfortable enough to share our gifts and talents with the world.
Mm.
And so whatever that may mean for you is it's individually based, right? And then your time freedom. How much time do you have to do the things you enjoy and spend with the people that you love and
Mm.
enjoy? In other words, very simplified, how free do you feel?
Yeah.
And so that is I call it a life assessment. And I take people through that in a workshop that I have, because if we don't notice,
Hmm.
we don't know where to go, right? We have to know where we are.
Yeah. That's wonderful. You really it sounds like it starts with self-honesty and really looking at these areas. I love how you have a very great way of simplifying down things that are very important and impactful in our lives.
Mhm.
And listening to you talk, I love your definition of money. You basically, it's what do we need to really fulfill that level where we're able to share our gifts, is what I heard. And
Yeah,
I think that, because we know that past a certain point of money, it doesn't make you more happy, past
of
a
course.
certain threshold. But there are lots of people who keep striving for bigger and bigger goals. And I've
Yeah.
always felt like if I had all this excess of that kind of cash flow, I would be investing it into building community initiatives and uplifting others. It's not so much about, having more. It's about the more that we can contribute, and money can amplify our vocation, as you said. And I love how you
Yeah.
create that distinction. It's very important because so many of us, were asked all through school, which also
Mhm.
I think conditions us, what you said, this idea where you will contribute to society after you do 20 plus or more years of indoctrination into a system. And,
Right.
Julie and I talk a lot about that because we have a full intention of homeschooling our daughter, and our
Mhm.
acronym for home is Heaven on Mother Earth. So how can we be that
Mm.
embodiment of, being our true authentic selves, aligning ourselves with our source of being, as you said, however you want to say it, with our creator, and then
Yes,
really being a presence of unconditional love
absolutely.
for ourselves. And I'd love to expand a little bit on, you talk about relationships, and that's so important. My background in Indigenous wellness has, there's a term in, it speaks to our relationships with everything, with life. It's Nakana Gana, which means all my relations. And
Mm.
I think that's another element here that people are yearning for, that we've kind of been separated from, collectively. Like, we tend to be very human centric, especially if we're living in cities and stuff. We don't always recognize the nature and the land as a living thing, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, have you like, when you do these workshops with people, how do you gather? How, like, are you actually getting, there's probably many ways that you do it, do you do
Mhm.
in-person events, or like, is it mainly online that you connect with people, Morgan?
I do both. Yeah. So I think something magical happens when you're in person, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's beautiful things about being in person. There's also a limitation geographically, unless someone's going to get on a plane to come to a workshop, which they might do.
Yeah.
It's less likely that they're going to do that than they would to hop on a virtual one. So
Yeah.
I do both so that I can support people wherever they are in the
Wonderful.
world. Because wherever we are in the world, this is information that is going to help make our lives better. And I'm really glad you brought up the nature aspect of relationships, right? Because we do have this relationship with Mother Gaia, with nature, and it is often overlooked. And I would say am guilty of not including that in the workshop, at least most of the time. If I'm talking to a group of people that is already where they would be, I may include it just in your relationships, right? How I included the other ones. But for most people, that would just like take their brain so sideways, they
Yeah,
wouldn't be
yeah.
able to focus on the relationships that they are aware of.
Yeah, yeah. Good point. Good point. Yeah, I have a tendency to take people sideways. I discovered recently that, I've always been quite neurodivergent, and so I'm
Mm.
always like, if you met me, just in passing, I might, if I noticed that you were listening and you had an open mind, I might immediately start talking about, enlightenment and consciousness, and start exploring,
Right.
things
Yeah.
and ideas. And I noticed that some people just are just not wanting to go there. They want to start. So I love how you meet people where they are. I think that's really important.
Well, and I'll say it's from personal experience because I was not necessarily close minded, but I didn't know any better. And
Mhm.
all of this talk that we're talking about right now, it's just sounded a little bit woo woo to me. Like it just sounded like you guys are on a different planet almost. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so I was almost dismissive to a point
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
like if someone starts talking to me about sound and I would listen. I actually have
Mhm.
a friend that does sound bowls. I had her come on my podcast whenever I was doing a lot of interviews on it.
Yeah.
And like she's just started with the chakra system. And it was like one of the first times I'd really ever heard of the chakra system. I'm like, hold on, back up, wait,
Yeah.
go back here. What do you what are you talking about? Like, really break this down, pretend
Mhm.
like everyone listening to you has no idea. And I'm like, because I don't know. So we're going to pretend like everyone else also doesn't know. We're going to get a
Yeah.
master class
Yeah.
here. And it's interesting because it will change your life if you allow it to. If you
Hmm.
learn how everything in our universe is energy and how
Hmm.
to work with that energy, how to work with these invisible, spiritual, universal laws,
Hmm.
everything in your life will change.
Yeah.
But for me, part of what I do, part of my responsibility in being given this information and being given this gift
Hmm.
is to help people that were a version of me who
Yeah.
would have been dismissive of this type of information, who
Yeah.
would have continued to be stuck because they didn't know how to change,
Hmm.
they didn't know
Hmm.
what to do to change. And what what may come across to some people as like way out there and woo
Hmm.
woo, if we break it down, and I'll tell people, I teach you a scientific process.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's physics. It's a proven scientific process. If you follow the process as if you were doing a science experiment, you will succeed in it.
Yeah.
And that just, it helps connect it, the spiritual with our physical
Yeah.
and where we're at, right? Versus being out here with my crystals and
Yeah.
my mantras, and people are like, what is
Yeah.
what, right? So it very much is connecting to where they are, because otherwise I can't serve and support them.
Yeah, I love how you have that self-awareness. Another really important distinction that you're serving people who are you're a number of steps beyond that were similar to you in mindset, because that's likely the people that we attract, right?
Yeah.
And I really think this conversation is important, especially we're in this age. I like how Dr. Joe Dispenza says it. Like our current language of science is actually the language of mysticism, but we're able to have these
Mm,
conversations from a practical place now. And I'd
sure.
love to offer to our listeners and to yours as well. Like there are some tangible ways that, because I'm really not of the whole. I come from. My awakening really started through the lens of science. I was contemplating the nature of light and patterns in nature and trying to
Mm,
understand things through mathematical understanding. That's where I started actually having pretty transcendent experiences myself.
yeah.
And for me, it's always been important to be able to articulate the truth. Like the truth is the guiding light. So I would love to recommend, if that nature element is not always present in your workshops, there's a very simple way to do this. Because you mentioned like
Okay.
connecting with Gaia, the spirit, like
Yeah.
that consciousness of Mother Earth. Because we're all, like my spirit name is Ondakin. Aki means land, and so it means keeper of the land. And
Mm,
one of my perceptions of reality is that my body is actually an emanation of the mother of the land, and it's an expression of her, and that I am the consciousness that gets to steward the land and gets to and that we're all that, and that all form is actually the land. That might sound woo-woo, but there's a really cool documentary called Earthing, the movie, and it's
mm,
on YouTube. It's about 90 minutes long, and it goes into the journey of this man, Clint Ober, I believe is his name. And he was like a very high level entrepreneur who he
mm,
invented the modem. And he knew a lot about how signals were affected by either being grounded or ungrounded. And,
yeah.
anyways, he had his own health challenges, went on this quest of discovery. And he went back in his mind with some of his earlier memories being around indigenous people, and how being in a teepee one day, I think this was in southern United States, he remembered an elder telling the children, like, take those shoes off, they're going to make you sick. And that
Mm,
always stuck with him. And then how another girl was healed from basically being in she had a sickness that no doctors could solve. And so they dug a hole for her. She sat in the earth and was in front of a fire for several days, and that recovered her. And so he started self-funding this scientific research into the power of grounding, and like how
yeah.
we have like so many, I think it's like 250,000 sweat glands on the bottom of our feet that actually absorb electrons, and that our inflammation, so all the static electricity in our body actually drains. So I think it's really important conversation, this bridging between the science and spirituality, as you said,
Yeah.
because it is a science. Like we can actually see, like if you change your mindset, which is, our mindset is co-creative. It actually, we can measure the electromagnetic field that it creates. So now we're starting to see that we can have we can change our life experience. But
Hmm.
I think what you're saying, like this, the practicality of the simple knowing and the simple being aware is so important.
Yes.
And so people come to you and they can totally connect with you from where they are. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
and that's the first step, right? Notice. And then I take them into designing. That's the second step. And
Okay.
that's going to mean something different for everybody, right? Our vision for our life, what we desire, is given to us. And that may sound a little
Hmm.
woo-woo, right? But
I
it's
love it.
it's given to us. It is our duty and our responsibility to follow that because it is as unique as our fingerprints are.
Hmm.
And so while there may be some commonalities in it, right? Like maybe I want to fly first class and you want to fly first class.
Hmm.
Cool. But where we want to go and why we want to go there and how long we want to be there for, those are different
Hmm.
for different purposes. But most people spend more time planning a weekend than they do
Hmm.
planning their lives.
Yeah.
And so we do look at all four of these areas and help you design what you would love for your life to look like in that
Hmm.
area. And until you do that, until you know where you are and what you want, you don't have any type of roadmap. You don't,
Hmm.
you're just wandering around aimlessly,
Hmm.
right? You're just in the indoctrination
Hmm.
of America. I'm sure other places as well. I know Australia comes to mind a lot for me when I say
Yeah.
indoctrination, just from like tall poppy syndrome. Like you can't be
Yeah.
better than anyone else, right?
They have that here
But
in Canada as well.
yeah,
That's what they
so
call it too.
wherever you are, wherever you were born, you were raised, right? It's just kind of a
Hmm.
fluke that you got to be born there. And we all have these indoctrinated ideas that
Hmm.
were given to us, and we're really not even aware of them a lot of times, right?
Hmm.
And so when I ask, depending on who I'm talking to, right? Like if I'm talking to a group of entrepreneurs, then the conversation around this question of what you would love is I preface it with it's going to sound like a very simple, very silly question. It may even sound ludicrous. Like you've probably never been asked it. You've probably never even asked your kids it. But
Hmm.
what it does is it opens up your imagination and
Hmm.
allows it to flow freely.
Hmm.
Because at some point we were like adulted out of imagining. We
Yeah.
were told this
Yeah.
is the way that it's going to be and go and do it that way, right? And so if you just allow yourself to feel that little bit of discomfort answering the question
Hmm.
and lean into it, you'll be amazed with what you find for yourself.
Yeah. I love
So,
the Kate. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go
I,
ahead.
I feel like this is an ongoing conversation that I'm having with multiple people at the same time, and I love the cadence of it
Mm,
because that those questions of what do you love and what do you really desire is so important. And I feel like for a lot of folks who enter into the personal development world, like the Think and Grow Rich kind of ideas, a
yeah.
lot of those folks are, because they don't know what they want, they look at what people who they admire have and they say, I want that. Like I want the
Hmm.
private jet. I want the helicopters. I want I want a flying saucer. I think that would solve most of my problems. It's a place to live, to travel, anti-gravity, free fuel, all that stuff.
Right.
That sounds great. Um, but I think this and that I mean, I think this is a really important conversation that you said people already have this as part of their blueprint, and there's an intentionality of why. And even what you said about like being born as a fluke, I do question that, Morgan. I don't know if that's fully the truth, because a lot of what I've listened to elders and I've done my own contemplation,
Mhm.
I wonder if we actually intend who our parents are and what we come here to do as part of
Mm.
our destiny. So it's a wonderment. I'm not saying you're right,
Yeah.
or I'm right, or all this. I think like you're talking about, there's this intelligence that is way beyond our personal intelligence, but you're
Yeah.
starting, you're connecting with people and helping them initiate that journey and then designing that. And it sounds like a lot of it's an alignment process, like starting with
That's
the
the
question of,
third part.
all right, let's go.
That's the third part. And yes, I said fluke and I use that word loosely.
Yeah.
Infinite intelligence knows what it's doing, right?
Mhm.
And we were here long before we were here
Yeah.
physically,
Yeah.
right? But as far as what I am understanding at this point in my enlightenment, right?
Mhm.
I did not get to decide where I was born or who I was born to. Very
Mhm.
grateful for both of those, but it's not a decision that was being made at any conscious level
Mhm.
for me, right? So I say a fluke because infinite intelligence decided that for me, and I'm very
Mhm.
grateful that they did.
Mhm.
But I could have, as far as I know in my enlightenment path, right? I could have been born in India,
Mhm.
right?
Many are.
Yeah, many are,
Yeah.
right? So that's, I appreciate you, calling the word, like bringing the word fluke out too, because that is what I was sharing there. And I agree with what you're saying, right? There's
Yeah.
an infinite intelligence at work that knows all things. And we are placed where we are destined to be placed, designed to be placed.
Yeah. And I think big part of that is that reconnecting with that source of intelligence, because that's a very, I think, the most fundamental relationship that we have. I mean, it's literally what
Absolutely.
grows our bodies, gives us everything that we desire. And so, you know, kind of caveating what we're going to talk about, alignment. So how do you
Yeah.
help people then, once they kind of have an idea what they love and they start designing this, what's the alignment process look like?
So that's where the coaching comes into, right?
Mhm.
Because as much as I would love to be able to tell somebody, hey, you come sit through a 90-minute workshop with me, you're going to leave a brand new person. And in many ways, you are, because your thoughts and your mindset and your world has been expanded. And now it can't contract back to what it was,
Mm.
but you're missing the pieces of how to actually align with yourself. And there's a
Yeah.
process to self with a capital S, right? Like our higher
Yep. Yep.
self. There's a process in that. And earlier you're talking about, people see other people and they say, oh, I want this because this other person has it. And so one of the test, I'm going to use that word, test that we take people through for their dream, people ask, like, am I worthy of this? And that's
Hmm.
backwards.
Yep.
It's, is that vision, is that
Mm.
dream, is that idea worthy of you?
Yeah.
Because if you can think it up, you are absolutely 100% worthy of it. But we get one life,
Yeah.
at least
I love
in
that.
in this physical body, right?
Yeah.
We get one. And
Yeah.
so you deserve to live the absolute best life that you can live,
Hmm.
right? And that goes right back to what we were designed to do,
Yeah.
divinely designed to do.
Hmm.
And that, I said that to somebody who was not quite into the woo woo, and he was just like, no, Morgan, get out of here with your divinely
There's no
designed.
divineness here.
Yeah. He was just like, I am like way behind you on this. No. But we are divinely designed
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
do certain things. And then the other piece of alignment comes in because we have this, okay, I know where I'm at now. I know where I want to be.
Hmm.
I have no idea how to get there, because if you knew how to get there, you'd be there already,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's part of where the alignment comes in.
Yeah.
You're aligning with infinite intelligence that can guide you. And people think that means sometimes that you're going to have this whole roadmap laid out for you.
Hmm.
It's like, not really.
Right.
Whenever you are getting in your car and you're going anywhere, what happens when you come to a stoplight? You stop.
You
You
stop.
wait for
Yeah.
it to turn green,
Yeah.
right? And our journey in life is very much that way. We don't need green lights all the way to the
Hmm.
grocery store or
Yeah.
work or wherever it is that we're going, right?
Yeah.
We just go to the next light,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then we wait
Hmm.
for And I'm not saying wait passively in the scheme of like taking action in life.
You got
right?
your foot on the brake.
Yeah. You're still doing your part, right?
Yeah.
But the next step is revealed to you. And that's very
So
much how it
important.
is when we align with our higher power. And that's why I have right here, committed to alignment, right?
Yeah.
That's it. When you commit to alignment, everything else in your life begins to shift to help serve you in that way so that you can serve others.
You know, I really love this illustration. It almost feels like the seeds of a parable or something, because I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, if I knew if I knew I was going to the grocery store and I had to know that all the lights would just be green in the exact moment to go before I even stepped foot in my car and took that step of turning on the car and going,
Mm-hmm.
like that would be overwhelming to my nervous system to have that all that information. And
Right.
also, I mean, if you extend that out to a whole life, like I'd imagine people would just sit there and just like it would be too much information to make any steps if you knew how it was all going to play out, and it would be quite boring too to look at it that way. Oh, my camera is I'm doing too much hand motion, so it's going around. Anyways, I really feel like this is a really practical way that people can understand, because this is such an important part of the conversation, Morgan, that people need to take that first step. And, you know, there's so many aphorisms about that. Leap and the net will appear. You know, take the
Yeah.
first step. You know, that's how you begin the 1,000-mile journey. And so that's awesome. So what has been the most uplifting thing for you working with people, helping them align with a higher vision for your life? I mean, I've felt, you know, that this has been a very uplifting thing in our journey as well, helping people
Mhm.
see that they have that option. Let's
Yeah.
hear some stories or experiences from your perspective.
It's interesting, right? Because I was telling a client this yesterday. The best part is hearing their wins and hearing their breakthroughs. And yesterday I was on calls with clients, and just one call after another, they were all having breakthrough after breakthrough. And I'm just like, look at you guys go. Like, and it's interesting as the coach, because I can help them see that it's a breakthrough. Whereas for them, it's just like, oh, that was just like a subtle shift.
Hmm.
I'm like, but was it a subtle shift, right? Like, think about, like you just said, oh, well, an older version of me would have been really overwhelmed by all the wonderful things that are
Hmm.
happening in my life right now. And I was like,
Yeah.
look at you.
Yeah.
Pause for a moment, right? Take in the appreciation that, one, you are now another version of yourself, a newer, better, grander version of yourself, right? And that instead of being overwhelmed, how do you feel? And she's like, oh, I feel so capable. I feel so confident. And she's just like glowing, right? Radiating. And I said, so notice that for yourself, right? Like this older version of you that would have been overwhelmed by all these good things happening, right? You're like, it's too much good, too much good. I can't handle all the good happening, right? What would have happened? And she's like, oh, it would have started going back downhill. My good would be going back down. And I compare it sometimes to like a thermostat, right? We have a thermostat in a room, it sets the temperature at a certain temperature. And anytime the temperature in the room goes outside of that, the thermostat kicks in and
Hmm.
kicks it back to that temperature. We have this in our lives, in our
Yeah.
mindset, and in each part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
So if up until a certain point, our mindset is like, oh, we have to work really hard. Things are really like, it's not easy to help people. It's not easy to do deals. It's not easy to earn money. Like I have to work really hard at this.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whenever things start to feel a little bit easier, our thermostat
Yeah.
kicks in and says, no, it has to be hard. Remember, you believe it has
Yeah.
to be hard. And so, and this is just one of the breakthroughs, right, that a client was having yesterday.
Amazing.
But when I paused her and like walked, she was like, whoa, like I didn't even realize how big of a difference that was for me.
Hmm.
And we can have breakthroughs all the time. And oftentimes, if we don't have someone on the outside that can see the full picture frame
Yeah.
looking in, it's easy to miss them.
Yeah.
And one of the important things is to celebrate every single one of those, no matter how
Mhm.
small they may seem.
Yeah.
Because when we celebrate them, we're telling the universe, I love this. I appreciate this. I enjoy this. I
Yeah.
want more of this. And the universe is happy to provide that to us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so important. You know, that anchoring in process. You can probably hear a little girl there squealing. She's celebrating every day, every little moment. And that was the little
We do
laugh you
that as
heard.
kids,
We do,
right? We
right?
do that as kids. And at some point, somewhere along our journey of life, we're told to sit down, be
Yeah.
quiet,
Yeah.
listen, and do what we're told,
Yeah.
and to stop having fun.
Right.
Why did we stop having fun, right? And
Exactly.
oftentimes people come to me in a kind of a transitional phase of life, right? Like maybe they've retired and now they're like, I don't really know what to do next. Like I thought I was going to enjoy my life now, and
Mhm.
I don't even know what I enjoy anymore. Like all I've done is work for the last however long.
Yeah.
And it's bringing back what is fun for you.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
do you enjoy
So
doing?
important. So important. You know, I think this is a really interesting conversation. I've heard it in a few different iterations. Like, I think this is a value of having multiple teachers like yourself who share things in different ways. Like, I really love the green light, red light analogy, and
Mhm.
this, you know, this awareness of just taking that stuff, but then celebrating all those wins of seeing how you're becoming. I think that's so
Yeah.
valuable. There is a very wonderful book that really helped me kind of see a new level of this, and I'm wondering if you've read it or heard about it. It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
I have not read that one yet. I believe it's on my books to read
Oh
list.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would strongly recommend it. He describes what you're saying from his language as the upper limit problem, and that we all
Mm.
have this upper limit that once we pass it, we actually subconsciously start sabotaging all the things in our life, whether it's like starting an argument with our spouse or showing up late to appointments. We do this because we feel that unworthiness, and I think this is actually one of the biggest pieces of gold that you've given our audience and myself is this concept that asking, are your goals worthy of you? I think that's such a flip, and it really allows a much more expansive appreciation of who we are, because like you said,
Yeah.
we're worthy of all of our dreams, but what are the ones that are worthy of you? Because we can spend a whole lifetime chasing other people's dreams and being distracted by, you know, the shiny objects that won't might not necessarily fulfill us at all, and then we're in
Right.
these cycles that a lot of high achievers find themselves in. So I love that you bring it to fun. You know, I think that we can all, you know, create the most wonderful, beautiful world
Mm.
but if it's like this serious road where we all have to grind, well, we're going to end up with a world that's not fun at all. So fun is such an important part of the mix, Morgan. Wonderful.
Absolutely. And we were taught to be in this grind mentality,
Hmm.
right? Grind, 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 grind. And then someday you can enjoy everything you've built.
Yeah.
And I was that person. I was that person in my business. I was
Hmm.
that person when I was teaching, right? And that's who I'm here to serve, right? The regardless of age, right? But the
Yeah.
people that are a couple of steps back from where I am in my journey, right? And everyone should have a mentor or a coach,
Yeah.
because that's all the greatest people do, right? Like
Hmm.
Michael Jordan had many coaches,
Yeah.
right? And I have my own mentors in this
Yeah.
space as well, because the more that I learn and the more that I improve, the more that I gain on my journey, the better I'm able to serve and support my clients as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's a huge benefit of having a coach that especially is in alignment with you, and because like one of the you framed it very well with the idea of a frame. I've heard the idea that, you know, if we're a jar can't see its own label. We only look out, we can't see
Hmm.
in. And the value of a coach or a mentor is they can see your gifts. I think that was an essential part of the relationship in Indigenous communities that followed a model of concentric circles of vulnerability. So in the center, we have our children, which are the most vulnerable. Surrounded by that, there's the grandparents, and they were the ones who could recognize they had all this life experience, so
Hmm.
they could recognize the gifts in the little ones. And on this topic of fun and enjoyment of life, they got to relive their childhood through being with these little ones. And then we have the women and the men, and then of course there's all the in between people that have different roles and things. And it's not formulaic, but this
Right.
idea that there is that built-in mentorship. We've kind of lost that in our Western society. We've pointed to that in this
Yeah.
conversation, like because we've started segregating by age. So, I mean, the landscape is different, and there's a different kind of way that those needs are being met through mentorship and coaching. And I think that's really important to recognize the value of that, because a lot of people might shy away from, well, it's quite a bit of money. I can't afford that. But like you're saying, like who you can become through this process of alignment is really beyond what you can really understand until you're there. So there's a huge
And that's
value.
really what the gift is, right? Like achieving our dreams that we have for ourselves is cool, but it's who we become in the process of that
Hmm. Hmm.
that is really the reward,
Yeah.
right? So I'm glad that you brought that up too, because ultimately that's really what it's about.
Yeah.
We just think it's about this materialistic or experiential thing, but it is so much more. And it's really truly about who we become
Yeah.
in the process.
Yeah, so much. I want to tell you about since you talked about, fun being such an important process in the game. I recently discovered I've never really been much of a computer or online guy.
Hmm.
I If you found me in my downtime, you'd find me spending a lot of time in nature. There's this infinite game I like to play. It's fun to me. Some people probably think I'm just nuts, and it sounds like the most boring thing, but it helps regulate my nervous system. I will
Okay.
literally go into the forest because my parents live very much in the country. And so I grew up in a forest that I could just go and kind of get lost in and be in
Nice.
wonderment. And I'll take off my shoes and I'll ground, and I'll just pick up sticks. And I
Mm.
will, because it's an old logged, it was probably logged about 150 years ago. And I'll go and put all the fallen sticks in the places where there's divots in the land, and I like beautifying the land. And it's just my way of connecting with Mother Nature, and and that's fun to me. But I recently discovered a wonderful platform. I don't know if you're on. It's called School with a K, Skool.
Okay. Yeah. From Alex Ramosi.
Yeah, well, he's one of the co-founders. So Sam Ovens, I think, is the original founder of School. And I got to tell you, so right now, every quarter they do what's called the School Games. So I'm entered in the School Games, and it's all about making business fun. But I got to tell
Mm.
you, Morgan, what's so cool about School is it's all about authentic relationships, and it's interest media. Gary Vee has talked about, like social media is dead. We're in
Mm.
the area of interest media. So people are resonating with one another based on their interests. And so it's not a place to come in and self-promote and pitch. It's really a place to really be your authentic self. And then you start connect. I've met some incredible people who are signed up to become on our podcast, and like I
Mhm.
feel like I'm meeting friends. And what's cool about it is if ever someone starts to build a community, you can see a map in the area that is uh, where all your members are from all around the world. So it's like this really interesting way of connecting. And the School Games is all about who grows the most in monthly recurring revenue. And
Mm.
so, and the top three of every category, I think there's 9 categories. They all get to fly out and go do an event with Alex Hormozy, which is an awesome bonus. But
Right.
he's all about like the number one rule of School Games is to have fun. And so
Mm.
making this idea of making money fun and in alignment with your passion, your purpose. I mean, I can't say enough good things about School. I really enjoy it,
Yeah.
and I would encourage you to check it out because it's really, I think it's a place where you would meet the people in an expansive way that really resonate
Mm.
with your practicality. I think you have this really
Okay.
grounded way of meeting people where they're at and just starting from that place of noticing. Because in my I'm not the best at doing that. Like I meet people and I might start talking about enlightenment right away and they're just like boop. And I'm like, okay, not my person, not my person, because I've been like this my whole life, right? So that's
Right.
okay. But it's fun. And that like you said that it reminds me of like, yeah, this I'm having fun. It's the first time I go online and I actually feel uplifted and not like because there's
Mhm.
no ads and stuff, right? It's just
Mm.
pure conversation. You enter communities that you're interested in and there's these interesting dynamics. So I just wanted to share that with you because I'm having fun on that, and
Yeah.
I've never been had fun on other platforms personally. So I think you might really, yeah, find some fun on there too if you wanted to check it out.
Yeah, I've heard of school, but I have not joined per se.
Well,
So
well, I'll send you a free link to our community and show school the whole
I don't know if it's
thing.
my internet or your internet,
Have
Nathaniel, but you're breaking up a bit. Uh-oh.
course because mine. Oh, and no, it does. Okay, I think we're good again. It
You're
might
still
have,
frozen.
even though it says I still frozen. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, you're good now. You're back. I think.
Well, wait. Talking about school too much, and teacher's just
Right?
like, okay. But yeah, yeah, it's anyways, I feel like there's this yearning for people. They're seeking this connection. They're seeking to have more fun in their lives. So why don't you
Mhm.
let us know about how people can connect with you, Morgan,
Yeah.
and really start tapping into their path and know about yeah how to work with you and learn continue learning from you.
The easiest way is my website because it connects to all the social media, has all the contact information, has all the workshop dates, and you can register. So that's the easiest way. And that's I made as easy as possible. It's just my first and last name.com. So I'll spell it out for you.
Wonderful.
MorganGutierrez.com.
That's wonderful. And we're going to share all of your contact information in our show notes here,
Perfect.
and you have really easy ways of connecting with you. You know, I like to ask this to our audience members. I feel like everyone has such a unique message for the world. And one of the thought experiences I've been doing with myself for a while is, you know, if I had a megaphone and I
Hmm.
could talk to everyone in the world at the same time, and everyone could listen, what would I, what is one thing that I would say to them? So I'm going to ask you that question, if you don't mind me putting on the spot.
No, that's okay. So if I had a mega, I would tell people stop waiting for some day to enjoy your life and
Mm.
start doing it today.
Ah, that's so profound and beautiful and expansive in so many ways. I feel like you're really the embodiment of that joyfulness and that fun, Morgan. And I love you that you make it so grounded and practical for people to notice in areas maybe that they're not, and to have a resource now through you that they can make that a choice, right? Because it comes down to
Yeah.
our choices, right?
It
It,
is. It is
yeah.
definitely our choices. Yes.
That's so wonderful. So wonderful getting to know you. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
Oh, we could go on for ages. This has been so much fun, Nathaniel. Thank you for allowing me to pour into your audience today and to share and have this beautiful community and conversation today.
We really appreciate you, Morgan. You have such a wonderful presence. I'm looking forward to continuing the ongoing conversation with you and watching how you expand and grow your mission. And I love that. Like it really is all about fun. I think you must attract a lot of you know, high achievers who are just, you know, like at burnout and they just need these simple reminders to of how important it is to be our authentic self and just to celebrate life starting
Yep.
today.
Yep. High achievers and entrepreneurs and teachers, of
Yes.
course.
Yeah, that makes
those
sense.
are those are the people that tend to come to me and say, all right, where can we go from here? Because yeah, I'm not happy. You're right. I just don't know what
Exactly.
else to do.
Yeah. And that's so important. I feel like that's the way that we brighten our world is just one person at a time. You know, having someone like you who can just listen, hear them, and then, hold their hand and remind them that they can have fun. And here's a way to return to that authenticity. So wonderful. Thank you for being such a bright voice on our love pod. To all our guests listening, have a wonderful day, and we will be in touch with more soon. So stay tuned. We have an exciting lineup coming up, and have a wonderful day. Blessings to everyone you touch in your love.